Good morning, everyone. Hope you're well. I'm back home. I got my parole. I'm now a free man, as it were. Very quickly, a very heartfelt thank you and a sincere thank you to all the kind messages that you guys sent. All the sort of goodwill messages and get well soon messages. It's a huge, sincere thank you for those. Right, Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor too. Now, I was not that interested in this. It was all the on-off and the, cancellations and blah, blah, the saga that dragged on for 2 years. I kind of didn't care much about this until it came around. And then when it was announced and it seemed like it was definitely going to go ahead, I was back on board. As for the fight, I thought the 117, 111s were a little bit wide for me. Saying that, when I watched it the first time around, I had it a lot closer than I watched it sort of second time around. There was a few standout things for me. There was a very definite pattern set, and that was Josh Taylor being the pressure fighter, the walk forward pressure fighter, pushing sort of Jack Catterall back. Jack Catterall happy to go on the back foot, as we know. He's a very defensively minded fighter. Defense is his first port of call, shall we say, and he's very good at it. Josh, the pressure that Josh applied was effective in one sense and not effective in another. He worked some openings and he did push Catterall back, but some of the openings he would work with a clever feint and a jab his way in and do it smartly. Other times he would do it without much invention and get caught on the way in. And one of the problems he had was, and I think Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall, when you get two fighters, and one guy's just got another guy's number, and this has happened a lot of times through history. Tyson Holyfield will be one of these cases. Could fight 10 times out of 10, the result will be the same. But one of the problems Josh had was, and this is where sort of Jack Catterall's defensive sort of skills are kind of underrated because they're very subtle, but what he does is very effective. So every time Josh Taylor would get on the inside and get past Catterall's jab, especially when Catterall neglected the jab, because when he was on the jab and was active with a jab, it was kind of undeniable. And then when Taylor would get inside, he would find himself, because Catterall has a very side-on stance, he doesn't present a lot of target. And oftentimes, Catterall would use very clever body movement and very clever movement because he would position his feet in such a way that when Josh Taylor got on the inside, he was either way too close to Catterall to get off any sort of effective offensive punches on the inside because there was no room to work, or he would present very little target and Josh just wouldn't have opportunities to get shots off because he was very side on. A lot of the times when I was watching it, I don't know what you guys thought, a little sort of side step round the side to open up Catterall's body would allow him opportunities to land shots. But as Taylor came in very straight, and when he got on the inside, he remained very straight, and Catterall being very side on, there was not really any target or any room for Taylor to get his punches off and to shoot. When Catterall, it's funny because Jack Catterall, being predominantly a defensive fighter and a really, really smart, clever defensive fighter, but when he opens up offensively, he looks really good as well. He could be a really good offensive fighter. He only ever does it in spurts and does it quite sparingly because his first port of call, his default setting is defensive. Josh Taylor, you couldn't fault his effort, you couldn't fault his fitness, but for all the pressure and all the sort of the good level of fitness he showed and the tempo he showed, he just wasn't really effective at any point. Yes, he did land some good individual shots. He landed sort of singles, head and body. I think he was throwing the left hand to the body, which was effective quite a way through. And then I think it was round 7 and 8 was quite big for Taylor. And then he looked to be having a really big round 9 as well. But there was Catterall had two really good offensive flurries in that round that kind of, I don't know what the stats were for that round, but I'd hasten to guess that maybe Josh won on a punch count for that round, but they were never really that effective. And then Catterall opened up with two bursts that looked really effective. He would land 2s and 3s, and all the way through the fight, every time Catterall landed, either in singles or in 2s and 3s, you would see the head visibly get rocked back from Taylor. And when it comes to judging a fight, when you're seeing one guy who lands punches, but there's no really massive visual effect, i.e. they're not making the guy go backward, they're not rocking his head back particularly, the punches don't really seem to have much effect. And then you have the other guy that when he throws his shots, there's a big visual effect, the head gets rocked, there's a lot of movement, he's forced back to retreat to get out of the way of the barrage. And that was kind of the sort of the pattern of the fight. Effectively, Josh Taylor's had 3 losses on the bounce now, hasn't he? If we take the first Catterall fight, this fight was way better than the first one. A massive improvement in terms of entertainment from the first one. But you do have to look at Josh Taylor now and say, where does he go? What's his level? Because although his fitness looked good, his pressure looked good, even though it wasn't that effective. Now, Jack Catterall's a really good fighter. He's really well schooled. He's a really, really sort of well schooled sort of defensive boxer, I would say. And he does it really well. And offensively, he looks really good. But do we say Jack Catterall is elite? We can't say that yet because he's not done it yet. I believe the time, I don't think Taylor is the same fighter from Catterall 1 till now that he was on the run where he became undisputed. I don't think many people would argue with that. He doesn't look the same fighter that he did then. So the future is brighter for Catterall. For me, they really need to get a move on with Jack Catterall now. They really need to get him in some meaningful fights because the guy needs a world title. And until he wins one, we don't really know how good he is. Against Josh Taylor, he looked really good. Not perfect because he did get caught, and he does, because he's defensively minded, he does let himself sort of be pressured and walk backwards. He's happy to do that. And against someone a bit more effective, someone with more power and more snap, that was the one thing I sort of noticed about Josh Taylor. There wasn't a massive amount of snap, and the punches, when you looked at them and when you heard them and when you saw the sort of the zero effect they had on Jack Catterall, you just thought there's no power there at all. There's no power there at all. So we can only gauge Jack Catterall really. Josh Taylor being sort of the best opposition he's faced in terms of class, but he's handled him well. Like I said, I did think 117, 111 was a bit wide. I think quite a few of those rounds were pretty difficult to score, and there's an argument for either fighter. I think the winner was correct in terms of the result. The winner was correct, obviously. But I just think potentially Jack has got a lot more than what we've seen yet. Yes, we know how good he is defensively. And he's really subtle the way he does it. A lot of the things he does defensively, and he has that natural knack of, even a lot of the time when he takes shots, he will instinctively move away and take the sting off the shot, so he's going in the same direction as a punch, which lessens the value. He landed 2. He timed. Was that round 9? I can't remember. But there was twice where he landed. He sort of almost walked Josh Taylor onto 2 amazing shots, and credit to Taylor for staying up, and he took them shots really well. Really entertaining fight. Josh Taylor, I don't know where he goes. If he's not winning at this level, and you'd call this, I suppose without a world title being involved, you could probably call this world title level. Is that fair? But we're certainly not elite level yet. So, yeah, Josh Taylor. I felt a little bit for Josh Taylor, and part of me when I watched this was, part of me wanted Josh Taylor to win because the amount of shit and abuse he got from the fucking idiot boxing fans. I believe his family got abuse, his wife got abuse, and it's not the guy's fault. Yes, he could have possibly been a bit more magnanimous in defeat in the first one, in comments immediately afterwards. But let's not take out on Josh because he didn't score the fight, did he? So it wasn't his fault. But I thought, I had a little bit of sympathy for him coming into this because I felt a little bit sorry for him because he'd had so much shit in this 2 years over that first result. But I really do worry about Josh Taylor's career and where he goes now. Jack Catterall potentially can do really big things. And when you see him open up offensively, that was one of the big things. When Josh Taylor had the pockets of success, they were good and they were okay. They didn't seem to have much effect on Jack Catterall. But when Jack Catterall opened up in his bursts and landed his 3s and 4s, he looked electric and he looked a level or 2 above Josh Taylor when he did it. So, correct winner, really entertaining fight. Really interested to see what direction they go with Jack Catterall now. And Josh Taylor, where does Josh Taylor go? I'll be interested to see what you guys think as to where Josh Taylor goes. What has Josh Taylor got left? Fitness wise and making the weight, he seemed to be okay. I would imagine he made the weight quite comfortably this time. The fact that he took those two big shots from Catterall and took them well suggests he was fairly comfortable making the weight. And the fact that he fought at a good pace for the 12 rounds suggests that he was fairly comfortable making the weight. Funny enough, from sort of round 4, I thought Jack Catterall displayed signs of being tired himself. His body language looked a little bit loose. He looked a little bit laboured in his movement. And he sort of, for me, showed the signs of being a bit more tired than Josh did. But then he would open up and he would look electric. And like I say, defensively, he's really good. He does a lot of real subtle things. He doesn't present much target. He closes up really well. So when his opponent, or Josh Taylor in this case, got on the inside, there was very little target to hit, and he angled his body in a way that was sort of at an unnatural angle for you to land shots at. And that's where I believe Josh Taylor had to sort of use a little bit of nouns. Ricky Hatton was great at it. Ricky Hatton would get on the inside, and if guys were not presenting an angle or a target, he would take a step round the side or a step round the other side and touch and touch and touch and find gaps. And this is what I felt Josh Taylor needed to do in places, but easier said than done. So, but yeah, great fight. Really excited to see where Jack Catterall goes now. Interesting to see what direction they go of him. And Josh Taylor, what do you think? Is there much of a future? Hard to see, because if you look back, sort of, I mean, the Prograis fight was very close. Very close, wasn't it? So although it was a great thing he did in winning Undisputed in the time that he did it, a couple of those results could have been debatable and could have easily gone in the other direction. So anyway, that's it. I shall see you all soon. We'll be back this week. We've got 5v5, Wilder v Zhang, Dubois v Hrgovic. Super time for boxing. I had a conversation with a friend of mine while I was in hospital, and we were kind of talking about the rate in which we're getting these super shows now and these big cards. It seems like we're getting them almost bi-monthly or monthly. Does it lessen the sort of the specialness of these shows, the fact that we're getting them so regular? When you get like a big movie, a big summer event movie, and it's sort of the big event movie of the year. If you got an event movie every weekend, do you then lose the concept of the event movie? Because an event is a kind of a special one-off event that doesn't come along all the time. And now these cards are starting to come along with such regularity. Are they losing the specialness? I don't know. Anyway, that's it. I'll see you all soon. I'm out.